Emma's Universe podcast. Emma's Universe podcast. Hello and welcome to Emma's podcast. So, what are we gonna do? What we're gonna do? It is Monday. Yay, yippee-ki-yay. So it's a good news when it's a Monday. So, in today's episode in Emma's Universe podcast, I want to invite you into a space that is often overlooked, sometimes even feared, and yet deeply transformative. That space is silence. Yes, so in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about the power of silence and learning to hear what words cannot say. Let's get started. Silence can feel intimidating. We live in a world that never stops talking, buzzing, notifying, or demanding our attention. If you pause for too long, people ask if something's wrong. If you sit in stillness, your own mind might flood you with noise you've been avoiding. But here's the paradox. Silence is not emptiness. It's fullness. Silence is not absence. It's presence. It is the place where your soul whispers truth that word cannot carry. So today we will walk together through the fear of silence, the gifts it holds, and the ways you can invite it into your life. Because when you learn to embrace silence, you don't just hear less, you hear more. Believe it or not, it is so true, actually. When we are surrounded with so much noise around us, we have a tendency to want to avoid the silence that brings us to breakthrough. So we're going to use those noise as a distraction. That's a fact. Yay. So, I know. Welcome to Emma's Universe again. So, let's talk about it. If we can talk about it. And right now, we can say about the silence that is something that really helps us and enriches our life. So, the fear of silence. Let's start with why silence can feel so uncomfortable. Think about the last time you sat without your phone, without music, without conversation. Maybe it was awkward. Maybe you reach for distraction almost immediately. That's because silence holds up a mirror, and sometimes we're afraid of what it will reflect. Let it sink. How often, and I do that too, pick up the phone and check and making noise with it, just because. Same thing, we are in avoidance to being complete silence. Silence strips away the noise we use to cover up pain, confusion, or fear. In the quiet, you hear your thoughts more clearly. You notice your emotions more deeply. And if you've been running from yourself, that can feel unbearable. This is true, especially when we run off from ourselves. Been there, done that. Our culture doesn't help either. We live in a time where productivity is worshipped and noise is constant. If you are not posting, working, texting, or listening, it feels like you're falling behind. So silence becomes strange, almost threatening. But maybe silence isn't the enemy. Maybe silence is the friend you've been ignoring, the one who holds the answers you've been searching for in all the noise. And it is true because when you take the time to walk in silence, sit for a minute and become the observer, this is where you let the flow come into you, the breaks. When we create those huge noise, those chaos, it doesn't help us because we cannot hear anything except that noise. Those are distractions. So why not inviting silence in our lives? It's the same when we're having people and having conversation, and some feel awkward in silence, which is interesting actually. Some people feel awkward because they don't know what to say, or they have to feel like they need to add things. You don't want that silence, so you want to add noise into it. And it's like, no, just be in silence. You gain so much when you're in silence. You can hear yourself when you're in silence. You can hear that little voice, that guiding voice, when there is silence. I was sharing the story on Noom Vibes when I was talking with Sammy Wood, because we're doing the sea show with Sammy on Sunday night. And it was very interesting because, and that's quite funny, but you might relate to it with some similar story, except for me it was the vacuum. One of the vacuum cleaner stopped working after 3 or 4 seconds automatically. If there is something wrong, if it's not put together properly, the vacuum will stop, which is a great safety actually, because it doesn't burn the motor. And people who use the vacuum didn't do a good job to start with, I must say, because they should not use the vacuum. The way they used it wasn't proper. So I'm looking at it and I'm trying to see if there is any issue with the vacuum, and I'm like, okay, it doesn't work. After a few minutes, I'm like, I don't know how to fix this one, but I'm gonna let it be, let it flow, and it will come to me. Within about 10 minutes, I got a voice telling me, check the canister. It's within the canister. Okay? So, and it was in silence. There were not noise, there's nothing. It was quiet in a room when I got that little voice telling me that. So I went back, took the vacuum, started to disassemble the canister and everything in there, unplug some of the areas, and put it back in. And I was going to say, God, behold, the vacuum worked. And I'm like, okay, that was good. That quiet time gave me the breakthrough I needed for the vacuum. Now, in your life, think for a minute when you had silence, what happened with the breakthrough you got? And it can be any breakthrough, but for me it was interesting because I said thank you. After that I was laughing. I said, thanks universe, clear it up. Now I got a vacuum that finally works. It's about time. So, but think for you for a minute, what has worked for you within silence compared to when you get so much noise? It's the same when, and I share the story quite often, when I did yoga, and I still do yoga. Yay, I am back doing yoga, let me say that. And when I was coming back from work, and there were so many, issues and needed solution, so I would leave it alone. And when I was doing my yoga, when I was doing the movement, when I was just focusing on that, all of a sudden I got answers to issues at work. So at the beginning, I used to go and chase after a pen and paper, and I write it down, and I'm like, okay, good. Then I continued to do my yoga. So I took the discipline. I got the habit to have a pen and paper on the coffee table, and I was doing my yoga. So when I found solution or something came, I had a breakthrough of any kind, I would automatically write it down, and I would continue to do my yoga. This is in silence. This is where you quiet yourself down. So silence is not the enemy. It's a good thing. And a lot of people are afraid of silence because they think it's awkward because we have to talk. No, you don't. You just have to enjoy the moment. So the gift of silence. Now let's turn to the gift of silence, giving us when we allow it space. Like I said, just the example I gave you, clarity. In silence, distraction fall away, which is so true. It's like a muddy water settling into stillness, becoming clear. In those quiet moments, you begin to see what truly matters, what decisions align with your values, and what noise you can let go of. That is wonderful. This is why you need silence. You can take a walk and just relax. You don't have to have music playing. If you want a little softer music, yes, great. However, if you tone it down, the music, but instead listening to nature, you will be surprised of the breakthrough. You will be surprised and become the observer. You will become grounded again. Now, presence. Silence roots you in the now, which is so nice. Without constant chatter, you begin to hear the hum of life around you. The sound of your own breath, the movement of the leaves, the rhythm of your heartbeat. The silence pulls you from regrets about yesterday or worried about tomorrow into the fullness of today. One of the things, and it took me years to stop, to project myself in a future, run already there, to pull myself back in a present moment. And I think that's one of the hardest exercises you'll ever do in your life, is being present in a moment. Not projecting yourself, right here, right now. I'm co-creating here in a present, not in a future. I'm not in avoidance of what's going on. I'm immersing myself and grounding myself. Those are, I would say, the most challenging thing you can do for yourself. But when you're totally present in yourself, in your body, you can really be. That sounds crazy, but it is. Healing. Let's talk about healing, because silence show in via science lower blood pressure, calms the nervous system, and reduces stress. But beyond science, silence heals the soul. It gives you inner world space to rest, to breathe, to mend. It's a very good way to heal. It's a very good way to be grounded. It's a very good way to remove the stress and focusing, I have to do this. No, you bring yourself down in a here and now. You are here, you're in the now. So, some of history's greatest breakthrough were born in silence. Writers retreat to quiet cabins, inventors steps into solitude, leaders take time in reflection, and silence is the soil where creativity and vision grow. I remember a time when I felt stuck, overwhelmed by decisions, and pulled into too many directions, and no conversation gave me answers. No book could tell me what to do. It was only when I sat in silence, away from all of the voices, that I heard the whispers. Trust your intuition. Take one step, and the next will appear. That truth had been there for all along. I just needed to quiet myself to hear it. And that's the problem. In our world, in our beautiful way of life, that we can modify actually at any given time, we want that noise. I had that noise. And I can talk about 2023 because I think this was the extreme of the extreme for me. But I remember that I became the ostrich. I put my head into the sand, and I had so much to face with everything coming at me at once. But when I started to ground myself, to focus on what was needed for me to do next, I removed that noise. I became silent in order to do and be doing that one step at a time. But it was necessary in order for me to know what kind of direction I need to go in order to move to the next level, to the next step. Having noise, I don't mind background music that keeps the dog busy. Everybody's happy. It's a typical day here, I would say. However, it is in the background. It is not principle of what I'm doing. If I'm focusing on the project, I focus on the project and my intention, and I remove all of the noise. Have you ever done that when you work on a project and you cut out all of the noise surrounding you and you're so focused you don't hear anything? That's about what I do. I'm blocking the noise in order to put myself in that bubble in order for me to focus on what I'm doing. Now let's practice silence. So how do we bring silence into lives already filled with noise? It doesn't require disappearing into the mountains. You can begin exactly where you are, actually. And again, I will encourage people to do small steps. We're not asking you, and I will never ask people to take a 360 and here we go. You have to introduce this. Some people can. It's like quitting smoking or drinking and they go cold turkey. Done. No more cigarette. No more drinks. Just water. I love my water, actually. A beautiful bottle in front of me of water. Just like that. Yeah, it's water, people. But small baby step. Now, set aside like 2 minutes a day to sit quietly. No phone, no distraction, just breathe. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that's okay. Like any practice, it goes with time. You could do this in the morning at lunchtime. Just you can sit quietly at lunchtime or in the evening when you come back home and just takes 2 minutes to sit down and even put a timer on it. It doesn't hurt to have a timer. At least you know if you did the 2 minutes and you go an incremental. So after a week or two, then you do 3 minutes. Then you're going to jump to 3 from 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 15 to 20 minutes. This is the kind of practice you do one step at a time. Again, you don't have to go to 20 minutes or half an hour in one shot because you're not going to be able to do it. Most people won't. After 5 minutes, everybody's going to want to run for their life, literally. And I've done that actually as an exercise when I was going outside, and it was, I don't remember, 2017, something like that, 2017. I had nice chair on the deck, and I decided that, you know what, I'm going to start to do that like 5 minutes at a time. And I had a timer actually, because I couldn't stand still. I was like a real buzzer. But I started to practice this, and I would do it several times during the day, but I like to do it in the morning actually. And I would just sit down for 5 minutes and just be present, become the observer, and noticing the world around, seeing the breakthrough, understanding a lot of things, and watching and observing. It was great. And I used to do that 20 minutes at a time. And I would invite people when I had conversation with some people. I say, have you tried this? And they're like, can I have a book? No. Can I have music? No. Just sit down. They were like, I don't know if I can do it. I'm like, exactly. So, small step, couple of minutes. Doesn't hurt. Even at lunchtime. It's nice. You can do it by sitting quietly or by having and walking as well, mindfully. So the other thing you can do is create a separate pause. Before responding in a conversation, pause. Instead of rushing to fill every gap with words, let silence have its place. You'll find that you listen more deeply and others feel truly heard. Yes, when we take the time to pause and to listen, instead of having an answer already to be or for you to talk, take the time, maybe 10 seconds, just listen, take your time. Digital Sabbath. So I encourage people to do that, and I will continue to encourage people to do that. Is choose a day or even an afternoon to unplug, step away from screen, notification, and media, and notice how spirit excel in that quiet. in the evening, in the evening before I jump to an example, I have a basket somewhere, and I have everybody putting their phone there. Turn off the TV, turn off the music, or put some jazz, like soft music in the background, but not too loud. And just have dinner with everybody around the table, so nobody has their nose into their phone. That will make a difference. I encourage that, but it's funny because there was a retreat here, and I saw the basket, one of the baskets we used. They used it and wanted everybody at lunchtime or at dinner, every time for the meal, everybody put their phone in that basket and left it there. So they would all communicate and not have their nose into their phone. That is a great way to communicate and to just relax. You don't need to be 24/7 on the front of your social media. Nature as teachers. Oh yes. Go for a walk without headphones. Sit by a tree. Watch the sky, which I love to do actually. Nature is never in a hurry, and yet everything is accomplished. Its silence teaches without words. It's amazing when you take the time, and I've been doing it with the pop-ups. It's walking around into the forest and looking at how beautiful and noticing trees, noticing nature, noticing everything. It's just amazing when you start to look at the sky. At night, it's like diamonds in the sky. It's beautiful, and you see one star, and there's another one that's starting to light up, and you can finally see. It's just amazing to see nature. And people take it for granted. So start to observe, and that's what I was doing when I was sitting on the deck, is just to observe, and I was amazed to listen the birds chirping around, hearing the frogs having conversation, the wind blowing. It was just amazing, and the sky, noticing every single detail. After I was done, I was grounded, I was calm, I was smiling. It just got the day going great. Better than expected. So one story come to mind. A friend of mine was experiencing deep burnout, working endless hours, always surrounded by meetings, screens, and chatter. At first I suggested rest, but rest didn't come because the noise followed her. Only when she intentionally began practicing silence, 10 minutes of stillness each day, did that shift. It created the shift she needed, and slowly her anxiety softened, her energy returned, and clearly began to emerge where confusion has lived. Silence more than rest alone was what healed her. So taking the time, even if you don't have 10 minutes, 2 minutes when you wake up. 2 minutes of silence, 2 minutes of stillness. You can do it when you're in bed. Stay in bed, open your eyes, and just relax and breathe. Don't think about, I have to do this and that. No. Stay in the moment. I think the biggest thing for people is staying in the moment. But when you're in a moment, it's just beautiful. And healing is beautiful because this process, this is within the process you heal. The same when I do yoga, because the pose, Shavasana, at the end, which is corpse pose, I like that word, corpse pose. Let's go to corpse pose. When you're doing Shavasana, you basically lay down at the end of the yoga session, and you're not moving. You just let it be. So all of the exercise, everything you have done during that session will basically be, what do you call it? I was going to say infused, but it's not infused. But it is the important pause where you are basically thinking everything you have learned and all of the movement within your body in a time of pausing. And it's just beautiful. I love Shavasana. It's my favorite pause. Favorite pause of all. And I do have all the poses I like, but I like my Shavasana. But if you're integrating, here we go, I found the word. it's you're integrating the work you have done. So you're in the integration pause where you can stay for a few minutes and you integrate everything you have done. This is the same thing with silence. You're integrating everything. You let it come to you and be. The healing part of it is right here, right now. So let's do a guided reflection. And again, if you're driving, operating heavy equipment, or on a move, please don't do it. Just listen and do it when you're doing nothing. So let's try something together. If you're able, close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in through your nose and let it out gently through the mouth. Now, allow the noise around you to fade. Don't fight the sounds of life. Let them pass. Like clouds drifting by. Beneath them, notice the stillness. In this silence, ask yourself, what I have been too busy to hear? What truths have been waiting for me in the quiet? Take another breath. Feel the calm, the space, the presence that silence brings. You don't need to chase answers. Just allow silence to hold you. Now, let's talk about living with silence daily. So here's the beauty. Silence isn't just a practice you do once. It's a way of living. It means creating space between action and reaction. It means listening not just with your ears, but with your heart. It means trusting that what is essential doesn't always shout, it often whispers, and that is the reason, actually, you need the silence. Like I explained with my vacuum earlier, that without the silence, that I would not hear that voice telling me, check the canister. It's just like, okay. So living with silence doesn't mean withdrawing from the world. It means engaging with it more deeply, more intentionally, because you're not drowning in noise. And I know when I do that, I know when I utilize noise to get distracted because I don't want to think, I don't want to hear. Imagine a conversation where you truly listen, decision made from clarity instead of chaos, days lived with moment of pause instead of constant rushing. That's what silence gives you. And it's beautiful. When you practice this, it's beautiful. And I know some people do complete silence retreat for days, which is awesome actually, which help people to continue their practice and really embrace their breakthrough. So as we close, I want to remind you, silence is not empty, it's full. It holds your clarity, your healing, your presence, and your inspiration. It's not the absence of life. It is the space where life speaks most clearly, which is so true. So today I invite you to gift yourself silence, even just a few moments. Let it feel strange, let it feel new, and then notice how it begins to change you. Because sometimes the most powerful words are the ones left unspoken. So thank you for sharing this space with me. Until we meet again, may silence guide you, ground you, and fill you with peace. All my love, guys, and I will talk to you later. Bye now. Creators.
show. Peace.